Hello. Okay, so YouTube is telling me I'm live. So hopefully I'm live. Could you do me a favor, please? Those of you that are out there, just somebody type me a little message just to let me know that you can hear me. Just going to pop back to the comments. Yeah, someone could just say, yay, Gigi, I hear you. I'm just trying to fix my silly camera. There you go. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, that's much better. If you could just type me a message, let me know that you hear me. That would be awesome. Oh, lovely. We have a few people here. Wonderful, wonderful. So it's very exciting today. I'm not wearing my glasses. See, I've got my glasses here. See, look. But I hate the fact that you can see the reflection on my glasses. And I just realized, obviously, I can make my web browser bigger. So I've magnified my web browser so I can see all your words there. I feel like my grandmother. My grandmother used to have those really large print books. I mean, yes, I'm quite old. She used to have these massive print books that they were like bricks that she would get from the library with this huge print on it. And now I've become my grandmother. It's tragic. Right. So hopefully I'm a bit clearer to you now and you're not seeing everything reflected in my spectacles. So happy Monday, everybody. Hopefully I don't sound too echoey. I am going to apologize to you if I do sound echoey and everybody who's on the playback. I have a very strange room in here, which just has some crazy acoustics. So I've bought some foam. Look at these things that I've bought. These things, they go on the wall. So I have to find a way of putting them up on the wall without gluing them to the wall because that would look awful. But I'm hoping to have these up next week and it will sound less echoey. But until then, I do apologize for the echo. While we wait for everybody to... Oh, my earring's just fallen off. Oh, how did that happen? Get that back on. Right. So whilst we wait for people to show up, I'm not sure how many will show. I forgot to put on my advertising. Again, I'm very bad at that. So who knows how many people are going to show up. But hey, whoever's here is here. And we'll have our usual Monday party. So whilst we wait, I will say hello to people. So we've got Mutez. Hello, how are you? It's lovely to see you again, back again. Alex, hello. Please let me know where you're coming from as well. I do like to know where everybody's coming from. We've got David, Rocket, very good. Anju, hello, welcome. Maria from California. Thank you, Maria. I reckon you've been here before and you know I like to hear where people are from. So from California. I hope it's warm in California. I'm freezing here in the UK and I'm fed up of it. I get a really red nose, I've discovered, when I'm cold. And I've noticed when I've been taking videos, photos and videos of myself on my YouTube channel, I always have this revolting red nose. So I apologize for that. We've got Shivam and Ali, Gurav, hello, Reese from Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, very cool. That's another place I'd love to go. And Gigi, hey, Gigi. I'm so excited. Another Gigi. I've never had another Gigi on my channel. That's amazing. And you're from Boston. Another place that I'm desperate to go. My husband's Irish, and I always think we'd have a great time in Boston. Stas is here from the Ukraine. Awesome. Oh, David, you're from Germany. Guten Tag. And Manny. Oh, hey, Manny from Texas. Darius, would that be right? From New York. Oh, Oscar from Chile. That's amazing. Hiwil from Atlanta. This is so exciting. We have so many people. Oh, Andrew from South Africa. I think you just messaged me not so long ago on LinkedIn, didn't you? So welcome here. Right. So why don't we just get going? I'm starving. So hopefully my dinner will be ready when I finished and not on fire because my children are in the other room. One's watching TV, one's playing Grand Theft Auto, which is the latest thing. And I put dinner in the oven and I'm hoping it doesn't burn and catch fire. Who knows? Right. Let me do my introduction. So I am, as I'm sure you all know, Gigi, and I'm an ex-Amazon senior leader and bar raiser. The difference you'll find between me as a bar raiser and everybody else that you will see on YouTube, and now there's a positive cornucopia of people on YouTube offering you Amazon interview advice. The difference you'll find between myself and them is that as a recruiter, for example, you will be interviewing other recruiters if you're hiring for your own team, or if you will have a specialty as a recruiter, and therefore you'll be doing pre-screens for a particular skill set. So maybe you're a recruiter for product managers or a recruiter for software development engineers, etc. You will have a very particular focus. If you're a normal hiring manager, you'll have only hired for your team, and again, you'll come from a very particular skill set. Or if you are, I don't know, just a normal Amazonian who's a marketing manager, let's say, again, you'll only be interviewing people within the marketing sphere, maybe some people from adjacent teams. Now, the truth is the Amazon interview process, although it sounds like it should be one unified process, is in fact not one unified process. It is many, many different types of processes within this overall very fluid structure. And as a bar raiser, you get the opportunity to interview anywhere in the organization. So I have interviewed on tech and non-tech. I have interviewed across dozens of different job families and many different countries of the world. So I have a perspective of the interview process that you just don't get unless you are a bar raiser. When I was working at Amazon as a bar raiser, I noticed that there were people who very clearly had interview coaching. You know, they knew what to say, they knew how to say it, they understood the leadership principles, they knew all the buzzwords. And I got curious, as any good Amazonian would, and did a bit of digging about how much it costs to have Amazon interview preparation, and it isn't cheap. And if you want to have interview preparation from someone with my level of expertise, it's far from cheap. And I kind of figured that was a bit unfair. So I started to do a YouTube channel whilst I was employed at Amazon. And then when I left Amazon, I built that out into my own interview preparation academy, where I do very affordable, particularly if you're in the Western part of the planet, very affordable digital courses that will teach you everything you need to know to nail your Amazon interview. And I will give a freebie for you at the end of one of those courses. So seriously, stay until the end. I offer my YouTube channel. I do these free sessions. I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter these days as well. So there are many different ways where you can absorb all of my knowledge and expertise. What we do in this session is very simple Q&A, not rocket science here. You ask me your questions in the comments box along the right, which I can now read because it's mahoosive, and I will attempt to answer them. Couple of rules though, please, people. Please don't ask me kind of general, hi, Gigi, I've got an interview tomorrow. Any tips? Well, yeah, sure, like 3 hours of them, and it's all more than 3 hours now on my YouTube channel. Or sometimes you might ask me something very specific to your particular job family or skills area. And there are thousands of job families and roles in Amazon. I can't know all the depth of detail about all of them. So it may be that I don't have that level of special knowledge. No one person could. But in the main, I find I can answer about 99% of the questions that come here to me. Right, so I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to share. Now, the one thing that I will say, which I have never said before, but I have to say it today, is I'm now at the point where I've got enough people attending that I'm not making it all the way through all of the questions. So I will try to pick ones that I think are most useful for everybody. But if you really, really need me to answer your question, there is a feature which is super stickers, I think it's called. I'm not sure if it's super chat or super stickers or both on YouTube, where you can put in a request to be able to prioritize your question in the queue. As I said, I've never promoted that before, but literally I'm now struggling to get through all of the questions. So if you want to make sure your question is covered, please have a go at the super chat or the super sticker. Okay, on that note then, I'm just seeing if I got a tissue in my pocket, actually. I told you it's cold here in the UK and I'm getting a runny nose. Oh dear. Ooh. Oh, I'm sniffing. Nobody likes a sniffer. That's horrible. Ooh, embarrassing. Might cut that bit out in YouTube. Right, shall we get going then? So please do ask your questions down here on the right. I'm now scrolling down to see if I can find some questions. Don't be shy. There are no silly questions. Oh, Ali. Oh, I'm just going to put this up because I think Ali needs a group hug. So group hug for Ali, right? So first time you're getting a phone interview for Amazon and you're a little bit scared. So cuddle, cuddle, cuddle. don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of. I know it can be intimidating, and I know there's a ton of information on my YouTube channel, and it's maybe a little bit, but do remember, the person that's interviewing you really wants you to do well. And it may be altruistic that they really want you to do well, but it's more on the lines of they don't want to have to interview anymore for that role. So if you do well and they can pass you on to the next round, or if you do well at a loop and they can hire you, that makes them very happy because it means they no longer have to interview on that role. So try and think about it in that regard, that the person on the other side of the screen, Ali, is your champion and absolutely wants you to do well. So don't be nervous. Again, Gigi cuddle. There we go. There we go. It will all be fine. Good luck. Moving on then. Do other interview coaches give you cuddles? Do they? I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't often watch other people's content. I don't think it's healthy to obsess on your competitors, as Amazon says. Obsess about your customers, not your competitors. Right. Let's go. Oh, we've got New Delhi. Gaura's from New Delhi. And Ali's from Turkey. Yes. Oh, come on, let's have some questions. Okay. Can I please simplify success and scale, bring broad responsibility? Yeah, I can. So success and scale brings broad responsibility is a new leadership principle, which I'm sure most of you know. It only came into being in July 2021. And it was born out of the idea that Amazon is now massive and powerful in terms of its impact on the world in all levels, right? And that comes with, or should come with, a sense of social responsibility. And they've created this leadership principle to try and recognize the importance of leaders within Amazon's appreciation of their social responsibility in the decisions that they make. The truth of the matter is, there aren't that many roles where people make decisions where the impact of their decision will have a knock-on effect into the broader environment or community or social sphere around them. So as a leadership principle, I don't encourage most people to really pay attention to it. If you are someone who's making decisions around building fulfillment centers, if you are somebody who's making a decision about fleet and the type of vehicles Amazon purchases, if you are the type of person who is making decisions about purchasing paper to do mail shots in like hundreds of millions of volume, those are people who have to bear in mind the social responsibility that comes along with the decisions that they make. The vast majority of people don't make decisions that have that impact on the world around them. And therefore, a lot of people, when they look at that leadership principle, are a bit stumped as to how they could possibly answer it. And they should be stumped, because really it's only relevant for a pretty limited number of people. I am yet to hear anybody be asked a question about success and scale brings broad responsibility. I have definitely now started to hear questions around strive to be Earth's best employer, quite frequently from AWS, but success and scale bring broad responsibility. I have not heard one person since July tell me that they have got that leadership principle question in their interview. So I hope that helps. Moving on then. Okay, Gaurav, you've worked at 6 companies in 8 years. Okay, how can you justify your quick job changes? Also, in your current job, you've been there for a year and you're looking for a change with an L5 in Amazon. Okay, you're at the on-site. Gaurav, I mean, I don't know your career. I don't know your career history in terms of how you can justify having 6 companies in 8 years. Broadly, I say tell the truth. Radical idea, I know. But, you know, the world that we live in now, there's no brand loyalty. There's no expectation anymore that you will join a company and that you will stay there for 5 years, 10 years. So, I mean, clearly it's not an issue for the people who are interviewing you, or you wouldn't have got as far as you have got. So I say be honest. You know, as long as you're not derogatory to any of your previous employers, then tell the truth. Tell them what you were looking for at the time you made the next step, what maybe the holes were in the role that you were working on at the time, or what mismatch there was between you and the culture and the value system of the company that you were working for. But unless somebody asks you, don't volunteer it. You know, unless someone specifically says, why have you moved jobs so many times? I wouldn't bother mentioning it at all. If it was an issue for them, somebody would have asked you by now, and I assume they haven't. Okay, moving on then. Yes, Reese, I am going to do this. I'm really glad you asked this. I'm working on a series at the moment to explain the different steps of the interview process. So this is exactly my point that I was making about the fact that the interview process is not really one coherent single experience for everybody. Everybody's experience, not everybody's experience is different, but many people go through many different pathways through the Amazon interview process. And one of those pathways is a green light meeting. So green light meeting effectively is if you've been through the interview loop and the team feel that, yes, you are bar raising at a kind of for Amazon, but that you're not quite the right fit for the role that they were interviewing you for, what they'll do is effectively pre-clear you for hire and try and find a role that's more suitable for you. They'll then connect you with the hiring manager of that role. And rather than having a kind of a whole new interview series for that new role, you will have this green light meeting with the hiring manager where they will sit down and talk to you. Now, the structure of that meeting is not well defined. It's not like the loop where it's very clear what people are going to ask and how they're going to ask it. Different hiring managers play the green light meeting in different ways. Some will just have a chat with you. Some will ask you to take them through their resume. Some will actually ask you leadership principle questions. So I cannot prepare you for exactly what format that meeting will take. But having got all the way through to the green light meeting, you should be pretty well prepared for anything that they throw at you. At the end of that green light meeting, that hiring manager then gets the opportunity to say whether, yes, they would like to take you or no, they wouldn't. I can say I don't know very many cases where a decision was made after a green light meeting not to take the candidate in. And doesn't mean to say that it's never happened and that people do get rejected at green light. I'm sure they do, but I don't believe it happens very often, because by the time you've got all the way through to a green light, you have jumped through all of these interview hurdles and you're very well vetted for your appropriateness and raising the bar for Amazon. So Reese, good luck, fingers crossed, and please come back and let us know how it goes. Right, moving on then. Okay, David. Yeah, I'll cover this one for you, David. Just a quick reminder, everybody, if you weren't here at the very beginning, I am at the point now where I get so many people joining my sessions that I struggle to answer all of the questions. So if you have a question that you really want to make sure that I answer, you can make use of the super chat, super sticker. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's the super chat, actually. Feature in YouTube to get your question prioritized. I've never promoted that before, but I was conscious last week that I'm just not making it through all the questions. So if you really need your question answered, you can use the super chat. Okay, can I tell you the typical questions of the first phone interview and maybe the key LPs? All right, so let's knock off key LPs because there's no universal key LPs that are asked at the first interview. It entirely depends on the role that you're interviewing for. So if you want to work out what your priority LPs are, you need to go back to your job description and deconstruct your job description. I do have a video on how you can do that on my YouTube channel, so go check that out. I do also provide a service where I can do that for you, but please do check out the video first and hopefully that will be all that you need. Typical questions on the first phone interview. Right, so Maybe you've seen my video recently about the tell me about yourself question and the why Amazon question. Puristically, you shouldn't be dealing with those questions. Amazonians shouldn't be asking you these vague why Amazon, tell me about yourself type questions and taking them as serious inputs into making their decision as to pass you on to the next round. Unfortunately, that now seems to have become quite a significant practice in Amazon, where interviewers spend a material amount of time in their first phone screens talking about those things. I think Amazon has just got to the point where it's so big, some of the very puristic practices that were envisaged by the people who originally constructed the interview process are just kind of not making their way all the way through. So, David, from what I understand, even though technically it shouldn't happen this way, you can pretty much expect them to ask you why you want to join Amazon, probably also tell me about yourself, and maybe even talk me through some key projects that you've worked on recently. So prepare yourself for those. Then you might get some functional questions. Again, it entirely depends on what role you're going for. If you're going for a technical role, then it's very likely that you will get some element of functional testing in your first phone screen. And if they have enough time, or if you're not going for a technical role and you're going for a non-technical role, you may also face the behavioral questions. So unhelpfully, David, I'm afraid you're going to have to prepare for yourself for all of those scenarios, other than if you know that you're not going for a technical role and, for example, you're going for a PR role or something along those lines. So I'm afraid that's as specific as I'm able to get, because there's just so much variation in terms of how different teams actually choose to use their phone screens. Okay, moving on. Okie dokie. Sorry, there's some people chatting to each other and I'm just distracted by their chat. Come on. Oh, we've got a two-part question here. Oh, I hate these ones. These make me feel guilty and I don't even work at Amazon anymore. So you had your loop almost a month ago and you followed up with the the recruitment coordinator, with the hiring manager, no response. And you saw that you're rejected on the Amazon website. If it was a no, wouldn't it be as super easy as driving you crazy? It's disgusting. I have to say, there's just an appalling way to treat candidates. So I'm going to say, I would imagine at this point that it is a no. If it's been a month and the portal, which isn't the most reliable tool, however, the combination of it being a month and the portal giving you a rejection note, then I would imagine that you have actually been rejected. But yes, it doesn't take long to send an email to a candidate to let them know that that's the case. And certainly that's supposed to be the practice. And it disappoints me even more that the hiring manager has chosen not to respond to you as well, although maybe benefit of the doubt, they have perhaps not got your email. Don't know. But yeah, if I were you, I would just accept at this point that you will not be getting an offer. And it's a horrible experience. And I can't apologize for Amazon because I don't work for Amazon, but that type of experience makes me incredibly sad. Sorry. Okay. Moving on then. So I'm reading questions here to try and pick one. Okay. I'm just going to do this one quickly. Unfortunately, this falls into my category of don't ask me generic questions, but I'm going to give some generic advice, which everyone should take. So, Chalet 40, you've got your first interview with Tech Resource for the position of Global Tech Lead, Cloud MGMT Tools. It's an L7, right? You really want the job. You'd have to really want these jobs to go through the Amazon interview process, I have to say. You watch my 10 top tips, good. Any additional advice that I have? As I say, advice which I will give to everybody, but I think it applies especially for you. Go big. L7 roles are massive scoped, massive scope. It's kind of the equivalent of, you know, a level above it in any other organization that you would try and join. So the bar is very high in terms of the level of complexity and the scope that they would be looking for an L7. So go as big as possible with your examples. And everybody else, I will say the same thing to you, regardless of what level you're applying for. Whatever role level you're applying for, the scope of that level will be the same scope as one level above the equivalent in another organization. That's just the way Amazon works. So always, always try and go for your biggest, most complicated examples that you can come up with. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Moving on then. Okay, I'll do this one very quickly, Maya. So you have your first phone interview tomorrow, marketing and sales. Do I have any advice for specific marketing questions they usually ask? So they don't ask marketing questions, Maya. Again, it'll be the why Amazon, tell me about yourself, talk me through your resume, those types of things. I think you're very unlikely to get specific functional questions when it comes to marketing, because like marketing is like a massive, massive concept. Anything from statistical models to PPC to brand metrics to anything. So I don't think you'll get kind of technical questions about marketing. But what I will say that you should prepare yourself from a marketing point of view is dive deep leadership principle. That's the one that catches marketers out. I'm a marketer for 25 years and obviously was a marketing senior leader in Amazon. And in marketing and Amazon, you need incredibly strong analytical skills, very strong analytical skills. And whenever I interviewed marketers, that was where they fell down. They just did not understand the data. They weren't close enough to the data and they didn't have an analytical enough frame of mind. So that would be my big tip for you. Have good dive deep stories, no data. Not no data, no, K-N-O-W, not N-O. Okay. Oh, I love this question. So this is my best, not best. I have a million best tips, don't I? I always say this is my best tip, but this is a favorite tip of mine. So the question is, and I read the question out in case anybody's actually listening to this rather than watching it on YouTube. What is the best prep strategy to remember to always answer each interview question using the STAR method? So the best strategy is to say, the situation was, la, 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 la. So my task was, la, 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 la. My first action was, blah, blah, blah. My second action was, blah, blah, blah. My third action was, blah, blah, blah. The result was, blah, la, 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 la. And the key thing that I learnt was, la, la, la. And I know it sounds a bit weird and artificial, and a lot of people have a bit of an allergic reaction to it because they think it sounds weird and artificial, but it is such a good tool to keep you on track in your stories that you have probably tried to memorize, and it helps you keep track of where you are in the process. So that's it. And when you're an interviewer, it doesn't sound weird because you're used to it. You are trying to listen out for what was the situation. What do they think their task was? You're listening out for those things anyway. So the fact that a candidate effectively sticks a flag in the ground and says, this was my task, doesn't seem weird to you as an interviewer at all. So there we go. I hope that helps everybody. You should use that. Okay. Okay. Hey Maria, so your recruiter said your second interview will only have 15 minutes for behavioral questions, but it was scheduled for 45. Should you be expecting 3 questions on one leadership principle only from hiring managers and skip manager? Okay, so I don't really understand how the second part of your sentence connects with your first part of the sentence. There's some assumption about context there, which I don't have. But if your recruiter has said to you that there's only 15 minutes for behavioral questions in an interview and the interview is scheduled for 45 minutes, then I would suggest that the rest of that interview is going to be used for functional assessment. So either specific functional questions or a functional task. So as I was saying to David a little bit earlier, different teams play their phone screens and even Loop actually interviews in different ways depending on the nature of the role. So that would be my hypothesis as to why you've got only 15 minutes for behavioral interviews, but 45 minutes interview overall. And the second bit, I'm sorry, Maria, I just didn't understand what hiring managers and skip managers had to do with it. Yeah, sure. So Tokello, is that right? I'm sorry if I've murdered your name. Please apologize to your parents on my behalf. Is there any difference between the recruitment process for grads and normal roles? Yes, it is quite different. So what you will have as a grad is a single day where you have I'll say you come into the building, but you don't go into the building anymore. So you'll have a single day where you will have, I think you will only have, I think is it 3 or 4, I think, I can't remember exactly, interviews with interviewers. And then you'll do a case study, and you'll usually do a case study. It used to be with a team, with a bunch of other people, so they can see how you interact with other members of your team. I don't know how that works now in a virtual world. It used to be literally they would sit in a room together and do a case study together. And then effectively, the biggest difference is actually at the debrief stage rather than at the interview stage. Whereas in the debrief for normal roles, everybody would just be talking about one person, and you'd be sat in a room talking about one person with like 6 of you. When it comes to graduates, there's about 30 people in the room and one bar raiser, and you talk about everybody together and effectively try and get a sense of the strengths of some graduates versus other graduates. So that's the only real difference. But in terms of your preparation, it's no different. You need to prepare for the behavioral questions. You need to, if you have any functional experience, be able to talk to that as well. But it'll be mainly for grads, behavioral questions, and then an element of case study. I hated doing bar raising on grad loops. It was so challenging. 30 people trying to run through 15 grads. It was hard. Oh, yay. When love overcomes. Oh, I'm so happy. Yay. Cheer. I love it when people come on and tell me they've got roles. I want to give them an opportunity to get everybody's compliments, but at the same time makes me happy. I got to check the time. Okay. Congratulations. I am absolutely delighted for you. Right, so just going to quickly take a moment to say to you, for everything that I do for you, I need one small thing, one teeny tiny thing in return from you, which is, in order for my content to appear in the YouTube algorithm, I need positive engagement signals. Positive engagement signals are either where you like the content or where you drop in a comment. So please, in return for my efforts for you, I really need you to be able to do that for me so that other people in need of my support can see my content above some of the... Oh, who's ringing? My husband. Honestly, does he not know it's a Monday? Silly man. So that my content will appear above the content that is nowhere near as good as mine. So quickly, I'm going to ask you just to quickly go and put your thumb up for this particular stream. And whilst you do that, I am just going to play a little video. Live to stream. Live to stream. Live to stream. There we go. I hope you didn't think that was too bonkers. I do need to do some new ones. I keep saying that, but they take a long time. Okay, so I'm going to charge on. I'm conscious there are lots of questions and I am never going to get all the way to the bottom at this rate. So I'm going to try and pick questions from people who haven't had questions answered before. And I'll once again say, if you really need me to answer your question, please do make use of the super chat function, and that will escalate your question higher up into the flow. Oh, I've got another one. Oh, I'll be very quick. Fahad, congratulations. Oh, I'm so glad you've been watching me for the last 2 months. It's amazing. Congratulations and well done for getting the outcome and putting in all of the effort. Right, let's move on. Let's see what else I can find here. Oh, you're welcome, Heart of the Matter. Oh, I'm trying to think. Okay. All right, Amrit and Gigi. Right. So Amrit and Gigi are asking more or less the same question, which is, what is the interview process? How many interviews do you have to go through before a decision is made? It varies massively, massively, massively. Some people, they might only ever have to do the online assessment and then go straight to loop, and that's it. Other people will have to have an online assessment, a first round, a second round, a loop, the writing sample, of course, maybe a final interview if the panel can't come to a decision, or like the person earlier, have a green light meeting, and anything in between. So what you need to do, Gigi and Amrit, is ask your recruiter what your exact use case is, because the two of you may end up having very different experiences because your different teams have chosen to do the interview process differently. So I know everywhere, you know, there are some summaries around what the Amazon interview process is. They are massive oversimplifications of what the process looks like. There's huge deviation. So the best thing to do is just speak to your recruiter and ask them to explain to you exactly what steps you can expect to go through for your role. Okay. How should you connect your project to the leadership questions? You need to understand the leadership principles. So the leadership principles are going to ask, the questions for the leadership principles are going to ask you to tell them about a time when something happened. They will connect the leadership principle to the question because they're already pre-created, and you have to answer the question. So one of the questions might be, tell me about a time where there was a problem in a project or in a customer experience or in a process, and you had to dive down a number of layers to root cause it and fix it. Okay, so you need to tell them an example of a time where there was a problem in a project, a problem with a customer experience, and you had to dive down multiple layers. It's as simple as that. Now, if you understand the leadership principles and what the leadership principles are asking for, you'll know that's a dive deep question. And then if you took my Dive Deep course, you would know exactly what behaviors your interviewer is looking for when it comes to someone who is strong at Dive Deep. But that's the way to connect the project, is the question itself. You need to think about, do I have an example that matches the question? They won't say, tell me about Dive Deep, please, and then you have to come up with a project. It doesn't work like that. They will ask you a specific question, and you need to have a whole bunch of pre-prepared examples that will potentially answer any question that they'll offer you about Dive Deep. If you want that to make a lot more sense, please stay till the end and get my Customer Obsession Masterclass, which is completely free, and you will understand what I mean about understanding the leadership principles properly and knowing what behaviors that they're looking for. Okay. Okay, how long do you need to prepare? Oh, sorry, Andrew, I've answered your question before and I've been naughty. I said I wouldn't cover the same person again. So I recommend, well, people tend to spend between 20 and 30 hours preparing for their Amazon interview. And where you start is entirely dependent on where you are in terms of your capability for behavioral interviewing. So I was pretty au fait with the STAR method and behavioral interviewing structures before I interviewed at Amazon. So I started on the leadership principles because I felt I knew how to talk to a narrative. I just needed to understand where those narratives needed to be pinned to. If you're not in that same position, then you might have to start with learning about behavioral and structural interviewing. So it does entirely depend on where you are in your skills area. But yeah, I'd say about 20 to 30 hours on average. Okay, moving on. So again, there's loads of questions. So if you really want me to answer yours, please do have a go at the super chat. Okay. So for hi Stubi, so for your phone interview, you prep one story for each leadership principle, but half of the questions asked were framed in ways that made them not fit. Okay, how should you prep for your interview loop? Right, so the reason why this happened to you is the Each leadership principle has multiple facets to it. It's not just one concept. So for example, again, please take my Customer Obsession Masterclass and this will become completely clear. The Customer Obsession leadership principle has 4 different facets associated with it, 4 different facets. So coaching, challenging, anticipating, and championing are the different facets. Now, those aren't official Amazon things. They are learning structures that I created based on my expert knowledge of the leadership principles. So it's a tool I created. But what then happens is the questions that you're asked link to those 4 facets. So there's no question in the Customer Obsession Amazon interview question bank that does not link to one of those 4 facets. So if you understand those facets, then you prepare a story for each of those facets, then you will definitely have an example that fits any question that they ask you about customer obsession. So in order to prepare for your loop interview next month, you've got to study the leadership principles much, much more closely. And if you don't want to invest in my program, then you need to try and deconstruct those leadership principles for yourself to try and identify what those different facets would be and come up with examples. I strongly recommend you have 2 examples for each leadership principle. One will not be enough. You will need 2 examples for each leadership principle. Okay, I hope that helps. Let me see what other questions I have. Okay, Vince. Oh, hey, Vince, welcome back. Welcome back. So you've got your offer. Yes, you start on the 28th of February. Okay. Yeah, they do only start on Mondays. Is it normal that HR haven't asked your references yet? It's pretty late in the day. Yeah, I mean, if I was HR and you're starting in like 21 days, I would definitely have got a wiggle on and asked for that. So I think your recruiter is probably just running behind and is somewhat weighted down by the amount of work. But that's not your problem, Vince. Like, you've done your bit. Unless you hear otherwise, truck on. Good luck. Okie dokie. Right. Moving on then. Oh, I can see someone's answered someone else's question. So I just want to validate this because I missed the question. So somebody's saying you believe there's a 6-month cooldown period. So maybe I missed a question up the top where someone said, what happens if you fail? So not all roles have a 6 months cooling off period. If you fail in the early rounds, phone screen 1 and phone screen 2, you're very unlikely to end up with a cooling off period. If you fail at loop, you may get a cooling off period, but you will be told by your recruiter if you have a cooling off period, and that cooling off period can actually be either 6 months or 12 months. I hope that helps. Okie dokie. Moving on then. What else have we got here? Yeah. Lakita, do I have any tips on the writing assessment? Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. Please go check out my YouTube channel. I've got a really good video on my YouTube channel about the writing assessment. So go check that one out. Moving on then. I'm sorry, I am jumping questions here because we haven't got a huge amount of time yet left and I want to make sure that I get to the bottom. So I will work my way back up if I get to the bottom. Yeah, okay. I'll do this one quickly. This lets me get on my soapbox, which I get on as regularly as I possibly can when it comes to bar raisers, because I think it's really important that you all know this. So you've had 5 rounds and you've got a 6th. Yeah, that makes sense with a bar raiser. Oh, well, you're lucky that you know it's the bar raiser, although it really doesn't make any difference. And I'll tell you why it doesn't make any difference. Is there anything you need to focus on? No. So here's me. I'm getting on my soapbox now. Right. So interviews with bar raisers are no different to interviews with anybody else. They do not get allocated specific leadership principles. They do not have specific questions that they ask you. There is nothing that they are looking for that everybody else you interviewed with are not looking for. There is no special sauce, no tricks, no nothing that you need to know about bar raisers to do well. And the reason why I say that is I've seen lots of nonsense around online where people are effectively trying to sell you products where they tell you they can tell you how to ace the bar rates around. It is BS, right? Doesn't exist. So no, you don't have to do anything other than exactly what you've done already with your 5 previous interviewers. And if you see any of that content anywhere, feel free to comment there that it's nonsense and they should come and talk to me. Okay, it's me on my soapbox. Moving on then. Ooh. Oh, Low Monk's here. And Bite Bitten's back as well. Hey, both of you. Welcome back. Oh, it's always so lovely to see people who I recognize now, repeat visitors to my house. Makes me happy. All right, what else do we have? Scrolling. Okay, right. There's a whole bunch of people that are asking me, can I tell them the leadership principles for their roles? So I'm just going to cut this off here now and say, no, I have not memorized all of the key leadership principles for the thousands of different job families across Amazon. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't be right because different hiring managers have different requirements depending on the nature of their team, the nature of their business unit, so on and so forth. So please go to my YouTube channel and check out the video where I deconstruct job descriptions live. You will then hopefully get an indicator as to how you can read through your own job description and deconstruct for the key leadership principles. Again, I do offer a service where I can do that for you, but the best thing to do is number 1, ask your recruiter, 50-50 chance they'll say yes. They might say no, but 50-50 odds based on my experience. And if they say no, or even if they don't say no, go and do a deconstruction yourself on your job description. Okay, so anybody else that asked me that, I'm just jumping straight over that question. Okay. Shivam, so are there any resources available where you can learn about the different facets? Well, I created the concept, so I'm afraid the only resources available that will teach you about the different facets is on my program, the Amazon Interview Whiz Academy. But I will give you a freebie to get a taster of what that looks like at the end of the session, and then you can decide if you like it and if you want to invest in any more. Okay, Manny, hey, the recruiter said the second phone screen, only phone, only no video, and scheduled for 60 minutes. Not sure how many people take the interview on the phone. So your interview will, in theory, only ever be with one person. Amazon interviews are one-on-ones. Sometimes there is what's called a shadow. The shadow is someone that sits in the background and should, in theory, say nothing. The role of the shadower is there are 2 potential roles they play. Number 1 is they're a trainee, and they are simply shadowing your interview so that they can learn from a qualified interviewer. The other scenario is they are the qualified interviewer and they are shadowing the trainee to make sure that they are doing all of the right things. If your qualified interviewer is the shadow, it's possible they might interject into the interview if they feel that the trainee is not taking the interview in the right direction, etc. But in the main, it will be just a one-to-one. I hope that helps. Okay, so what have we got here? Oh, Maria, super sticker. Thank you. Oh, it's very kind. Okay, let's move on. Conscious of time, conscious of my rumbly tumbly. Do any of you like Winnie the Pooh? I was a big Winnie the Pooh fan. He always talked about having a rumbly in his tumbly. Right. Oh, we've got another one. Oh, I'm so happy. Patty, you got your offer from AWS as a recruiting manager. Amazing. So many recruiting roles going at the moment. And you're an academy member. Oh, Patty, I'm so delighted for you. And you weren't even looking for a new role. It's like manna from heaven. Congratulations, Patty. I am absolutely delighted for you. I'm so pleased the Amazon Interview Whiz Academy was able to support you. It's going to be amazing. And you're a recruiter, so you know where you're going to send all of your candidates, right? Send them to me. I will improve your hiring rate. I get lots of Amazon recruiters sending their people my way. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? Okay. Great question, Buki. Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. So you have a large program with lots of work streams. Can you use examples from each work stream, or does that count as repeating? No, it doesn't count as repeating. Yes, I'd say you can use them from different work streams. What you need to do is just make it super clear for your interviewer that you are using an example from a particular work stream. So you might say, the situation was I was working on a huge transformation program that was driving the transformation of the CRM platform. I don't know what it was, Buki, but the transformation of our CRM platform from an old one to a new one. And it had 15 different work streams. I'm going to talk to you about this particular work stream about X. The situation was blah, blah, blah. So what I've done is I've given you the advice to add an extra little bit of situation before you start the proper situation, just to frame up the overall context, but the fact that you are talking about a particular work stream within that overall project. And then when you talk about it again, you'll again have to say, I was working on this large transformation project, which was to transfer the CRM capability from X to Y. It had 15 different work streams. And this example comes from work stream number 3, which was all about blah, the situation was, etc. And then that way, when the interviewers review your notes, they'll be able to see clearly that actually it's from a very different element of one cohesive project, and it will all make sense to them. It's a very good strategy. Okay. What other? My dog's about to bark, by the way. My husband's just walking through the door. She's a very large dog. She's got a big bark. Okay. What else do we have? Yes. We'll do this one quickly, Maya. Your interview requires fluency for 3 languages. Will there at any point assess you in terms of your language? Yes, absolutely, they will. Likelihood is they'll conduct your interviews in the different languages. So they will probably have the majority of them in your main language, and then they'll have one interview each in one of those 3 different, requires 3 languages. So your main language, and then you'll probably have interviews in the 2 different other languages. Yeah, you wouldn't hire someone unless you knew that they actually were fluent in the language. Okay, yes. Do I do mock interviews? Oh, you're doing a Pathways internship. Very good. So yes, I do. I do offer one-to-one coaching, 90-minute mock interviews. If you're interested, then go check out any of my previous videos. In the details section, you'll find a link to my booking system. You won't find it in this one because that won't happen until I actually update it with all the chapters. But any other one of my videos, you'll find the link in there to my booking system. Oh, another super sticker. Thank you, Gigi. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Gigi. $20 is amazing. That's very, very kind. My namesake. I'm so excited. I got a namesake. Okay. Moving on then. What else do we have? Oh, my husband's home. I hope he's going to start the dinner. I'm so hungry. So hungry. Right. What else do we have then? Oh, Amrit, okay. Quickly here then. The hiring manager is going to call you, but didn't specify for how long. Just said 1 o'clock. Do I know how long it will take? Okay, so this sounds like it's a bit off the books, Amrit, rather than a proper interview. So maybe they just want to chat and find out a little bit more from you, which is kind of off process and isn't really supposed to happen. But I would assume, worst case, I'd assume an hour. It will definitely not go over an hour. If a hiring manager is just kind of calling you for a bit of a chat, I would usually expect it to be 30 minutes to an hour, no less than 30, and definitely no more than an hour. Get every insight that you can off the record, Amrit. Oh, okay. You're going for a BIE role, Maria. Yeah. Okay, Maria. So I would assume that you are getting a technical assessment if you're going for a BIE role. So maybe there'll be a SQL element to it, or maybe some testing of your Excel skills. I would definitely talk to your recruiter and try and get some insight on what the rest of that interview is going to be for. Okay. Okay. Oh, Buki, you're on Amin's Twitter. Excellent. I don't know when we're going to do another one of those. I hope soon. I hope soon. Okay, so I've made it all the way to the bottom and I jumped a load of stuff. So I am going to just scroll back up and see if there's anything else that I can pick up. Yeah, okay, Lewis. So, I'm glad you like my videos. You find them helpful. Is the debriefing for internship the same for full-time roles? You're not sure if there's a hiring manager. There may well not be a hiring manager in your process because it's for an internship and that's kind of a broad program, and then you can assign interns. Again, different teams do it differently, but don't worry about whether there's a hiring manager there or not. You just have to do your best for every single interviewer. And if there are questions that you would want to ask the person who you work for, again, just find out from your recruiter, if you can, whether there is in fact a hiring manager on your particular loop. If there isn't, and there are questions you would really want to know about your hiring manager, one trick that I tend to employ is to try and get a post-offer interview. So if you are actually offered the role and you haven't had a chance to meet your hiring manager yet, speak to your recruiter and find out who your line manager is going to be, and then ask if you can actually meet them before you make a final decision on accepting the offer. I don't think anyone should join any company if they can avoid it, having not actually spoken to the person that they're going to work for, because they have such a powerful influence over your experience in a role. So that's my tip there. I hope that helps. Right, so I'm going to see if I've got time for one more. If you're desperate for it to be you, you can slap on a bit of super chat. Otherwise, I will pick one at random. Oh, sorry, I was lost there. I completely lost in my own head. I'm so sorry for that silence. Let me just see if I can find one more. Okay. You're at Loop for account manager in the UK. Yay, up the Brits. You've been referred by a current member of the same team and had an informal with a hiring manager. Does it give you an advantage? Technically speaking, no, it doesn't give you an advantage. No one's going to treat you, no one's going to lower the bar just because someone recommended you and you've already spoken to the hiring manager. The only advantage it gives you is hopefully you use that time well and you got as much information as you could from the hiring manager and from your colleague to understand what the key leadership principles for the role are and what they care the most in the role so that you can make sure that your stories touch on things that they really care about. But technically speaking, there's no advantage given. There's no bar lowered because you have those existing relationships. Okay, so I think we are now at time. So I said I would give you an amazing freebie, and here it is. And now seriously, take me seriously now. This is, without question, in my mind, the best freebie you're going to get about Amazon interview preparation, because it is completely 100% usable. No vagaries, no high-level nonsense going on here. It is pure quality. AmazonInterviewWizAcademy.com. Go there. You can get my free Customer Obsession Masterclass. I've talked a lot about the facets here. This will give you the 4 different facets for customer obsession. It will tell you exactly, and listen to me when I tell you exactly what the interviewer is looking for in your answers on customer obsession. And there's a lovely mock interview of me interviewing me, so you can see how it all comes together in an interview. I give it away because obviously I want you to enjoy it. I want you to like my content and I want you to buy more of it. But equally, I choose customer obsession because if I'm going to give away money, I want to give it away in a way that I know people will make use of it. It's like buying a present. I never buy a present for someone unless I really think they're going to love the present. Same thing here. So if you make it all the way through the Amazon interview process, 99.9% of you will be asked a customer obsession question at some point. So I give you this one for free. Please go and take it. I don't do follow-up marketing. There's no hidden agenda here other than what I've just said to you, which is obviously I want you to like it and buy more, but there's no follow-up marketing or anything. So there really is no reason not to go and grab yourself that masterclass. So please take it, enjoy it, make use of it. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm really sorry if I didn't manage to answer your question. I am getting to the point where there's just too many people to be able to get through all of the questions, but yay, that makes me happy. Thank you very much for coming. Please stay safe. For those of you who've got roles, congratulations. For those of you with interviews coming up, good luck. If you have further questions, you can always drop them in the comments section of any of my videos and I will try to get back to you. Thank you for joining. Be safe.